Staff Liaison Murray, is staff ready to start?
I don't see the names. I can't see the planners if they've checked in yet on my screen.
Yeah, if you can check the staff table teams.
Mr. Maloney, it looks like we're good to go.
Sounds good. All right, board members, if you can please start to turn on your videos, and Chair Muser, we can start the meeting at your discretion.
Okay, I guess we'll get our meeting started. So this Santa Rosa meeting of the Cultural Heritage Board. If we could, Mr. Maloney, if we could have a roll call and call to order.
Yes, let the record reflect that all board members are present except board members Gale and Huang.
Thank you. Due to our restrictions with COVID-19, I have a statement that I'd like to read. Due to the provision of the governor's executive order N2520 and N2920, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act and the order of the health officer of the County of Sonoma to shelter in place to minimize the spread of COVID-19, the Cultural Heritage Board is conducting today's meeting in a virtual setting using Zoom webinar. Board members and staff are participating from remote locations and or practicing appropriate social distancing. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting as noted on the city's website and as noted on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to speak during item 3, public comment, or during public hearing items will be able to do so by raising their hand and will be given the ability to address the board. Okay, moving on to approval of minutes. Do we have any changes or amendments to last meeting's minutes? Seeing none, I'd like to have the last meeting's minutes approved as submitted. Okay, at this point, we're going to move into public comment period time. And this is a time when members of the public who may be logged on via Zoom or their phone can make any general comment. If there's comments that they would like to make regarding the items that we'll be addressing today, they'll have an opportunity to do that time as well. So we are now open for public comment of any item intended in this meeting's agenda. If you wish to make a comment via Zoom, please select the raise hand button. If you are dialed in via telephone, please dial *9 to raise your hand. Each speaker has 3 minutes. A countdown timer will appear for the convenience of the speaker and viewers. Please make sure to unmute yourself when you are invited to do so. Your microphone will be muted at the end of that countdown.
Thank you, Chair Muser. It looks like no one's raising their hands at this time.
Okay, we'll just give it just a few more seconds in case somebody comes in.
Sounds good. I'll let you know right now we have 3 members of the public. Potentially they're part of the applicant teams, but not so many people are logged in right now.
But not raising their hand, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we'll move on to board business. And I will read the Cultural Heritage Board Statement of Purpose. The Cultural Heritage Board shall consider the following matters, standards, guidelines, and criteria to the extent applicable in determining whether to grant or deny a permit, whether the proposed change is consistent or incompatible with the architectural period of the building, whether the proposed change is compatible with any adjacent or nearby landmark structures or preservation district structures, whether the color, textures, materials, fenestrations, decorative features, and details proposed are consistent with the period and or are compatible with adjacent structures, whether the proposed change destroys or adversely affects the important architectural feature or features. The Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings. Such other matters, criteria, and standards as may be adopted by resolution of the Cultural Heritage Board. And with that, we'll move on to department report.
Chair Muser,
Yes,
can I interject real quick?
you sure can.
Can you officially close the public comment period?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We will officially now close the public comment period. I'll make a note. Thank you. Okay, and so with that, then our staff liaison, Murray, do you have a department report for us?
My department report, I may be duplicating some of the comments that I made at our last meeting. But I wanted to let y'all know that pretty much what we've got coming up is a whole bunch of training sessions. The meeting of the 16th, we should have a staff member in to talk about the general plan update and explain some of the outreach that we've been doing there and just give you a full scope review. I think he's also looking for comments, so hoping that y'all can be there. We also have tentatively, it'll either be the 16th or the following July 7th meeting with the city clerk's office coming in to train everybody on the Brown Act. Sometimes can be a dry topic, but a very necessary topic. So that's coming. And then also at the meeting of the 16th, hopefully I will be giving we as a group will be going over the rules and regulations for the Cultural Heritage Board, which I think is also can be a dry topic, but we can make it interesting. Anyway, so that's what's coming up. And that is it for my department reports.
Thank you, Staff Liaison Murray. Okay.
We're shy a board member right now, and I know he's logging in. I've just received a text from him. I'm wondering if at this point we may want to reorder the agenda and do our concept item first and move the public hearing, switch places with the public hearing so that we don't have to continue the Pine Street project yet again. If that would be okay with you, Chair Muser.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And so we will reorder. We will move item 7.1 to the last item, and we will move up item 7.2. And if our board member hasn't logged in by that time, I might even suggest that we take a short recess if we're sure that he's going to be coming. We really want to be able to hear the Pine Street project today. Well, some of us may be able to hear it. Anyway.
Agreed.
Okay, so I'm also then, and help me out with that, the staff liaison, Murray. We're going to then skip over. Should we still do statement of extensions now, or should we do that? I guess we should.
We're going to need to hear from Board Member Huang. So I think why don't we do statement of abstentions for each item as they come up? So we'll do that process twice.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so what we're going to do now, fellow board members, is we're going to do statement of abstentions for item 7.2. At this time, does anybody have a need to abstain from item 7.2? Which the concept review for a remodel at 212 Earl Street.
Board members, if you can please use the raise hand feature so that we can capture it for the minutes if you need to. Thank
you. Mr. Maloney, do we have any abstentions that you see?
It does not appear so. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so with that, then we're going to go ahead and move to item 7.2, which is concept review for a remodel at 212 Earl Street. Since I'm probably, for my own sake and also for the new board member's sake, I'm probably explaining things a little bit more than I normally or probably should. But first thing we need to do is to, if any of the board members have any ex parte disclosures. So this would be the time that you would disclose things like if you've talked to the property owner, or if you've seen the site, or if you have any kind of relationship with this particular property. So I'll just ask the board members to raise their hands for any ex parte disclosures that they may have for this project. And seeing none, I guess I will disclose. I did personally go and visit the site. I did not talk to any property owners, but I did walk around the building and view it from both, I think, Olive Street and Earl Street.
Chair Muser, I raised my hand, but somehow it didn't show. I also visited the property and walked around it.
Thank you, Board Member Garrett.
Chair Muser, I'm also having trouble. I also visited the property, did not speak to anyone.
Thank you, Vice Chair Fennell.
Yes. Yes, I did visit the property.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Fennell.
I also visited the property and looked on Earl and Olive Street.
Thank you, Board Member Boren. Okay, with that, we have Santa Rosa City Planner Christina Tomas, who is going to give us a presentation on this project.
Thank you, Chair Muser and members of the Cultural Heritage Board. I'm Kristen A. Tumians, Senior Planner, and we are reviewing a landmark concept review for 212 Earl Street. And the reason why this is coming to you as a concept review is it's part of a plan development for the Roseland area, and it is part of a not a historic district, but a historic neighborhood. There aren't any formal historic districts in the Roseland area yet, but it is acknowledged that there are historic neighborhoods, and the policy statement requires that projects within this plan development area be reviewed by the Cultural Heritage Board. And there was a determination made by the director that a review by the Cultural Heritage Board would include concept review prior to them obtaining or applying for a building permit. So the project today, the property owner is proposing to remodel the bathroom and laundry room in the southeast corner of the existing dwelling. The exterior changes will include eliminating one window in the laundry room and replacing 2 existing windows in a bedroom. This is an aerial of the project site. As you can see, it's at the corner of Earl and Olive Street. The work that is being done is on the interior side of the property, not the street corner side, so it wouldn't be readily visible from the public right-of-way. Here's a site plan showing where the location of the proposed remodeling would take place. And you can see Olive Street noted towards the bottom of the screen. This is a floor plan showing what they plan to demolish, and so it shows the removal of some windows at the top there, and some changes to some interior fixtures and doorways. This is a close-up of the demolition plan, and the exterior changes are really what we're focusing on today. Here's the proposed floor plan showing how one window would be filled in with siding. There would be some new double hung windows in bedroom number 3, and various other interior changes to the residence. Here is the east elevation of the property. And you can see the showing the 2 new windows proposed, and the existing laundry room that would be removed and replaced with siding. And the applicant is proposing on salvaging as much of the siding as possible and replacing what can't be salvaged with like-for-like materials. This is the rear or south elevation of the property, showing that existing windows are to remain and existing siding is to remain, and nothing's really being done to the rear of the property. Here are some photos of the existing site conditions. So this is the side of the house where those windows, one would be one window, that window closest to us on the screen would be filled in and replaced with siding, and the other windows would be replaced, the one that's kind of set higher up from the ground. Here's another photo of the existing site conditions. The property owner and applicant, one and the same, are on the Zoom call this afternoon and can answer any additional questions you might have on their proposed remodeling project. And staff is also available for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tomasi. Did the applicant want to have anything to say or have any comments or any presentation?
Hi, this is Becky Gershon. I own the property with my husband, Ryan, who is also on the line, I think. No, you did a great job explaining it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have, but I think you gave a great overview. I'm glad that the pictures were included as well, just to give some context.
Thank you, Ms. Gershon. At this time, let's, do any board members have any questions they'd like to direct to staff? We'll start with that, and then we'll give you a chance to direct questions to the applicant as well. But do you have any questions just for staff at this time? Not seeing any hands raised. Okay, any questions for the applicant? Board Member Garrett.
I noticed that there is an auxiliary building already in the back east corner, but what is the building in the on the east side in the front of the building? There was that small building there. Yeah,
I think that you're probably referring to our tiny house. we have been building a tiny house on a trailer for the last number of years. Nobody's living in it, and it's not quite done yet, but I think that's the building that you're referring to. It's not actually a structure that's fixed to the ground on a foundation.
And will that stay there or will that move?
It'll be here for a while.
So is that permitted with, is that permitted for being there more than a few days?
No, we don't have a permit for it. It is, it's on an RV, or sorry, excuse me, trailer. So it's not, you know, it's not a building structure, and nobody is living in it. And so our understanding is that since nobody's living in it and it's just in our driveway, that we don't actually need a permit to have like an RV type structure.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And Vice Chair Fennell.
I would have a question as to this, let's see, on the photos, it is the southeast back corner. Why you have chosen to have T111 remain the T111 siding, which is so absolutely opposite the rest of the siding on the remaining part of the house, why that's there and why that's going to stay.
You're talking about on the south side of the building?
Yeah, the southeast back corner near where the work is being done. Why would you keep the, why are you keeping the T111 siding, which is so much more of a modern siding than the remainder of the house?
Yes, excellent question. And I also am curious about why previous owners did it that way. Mostly we're keeping it because we're not changing those two windows that you see there. Mm-hmm. And it would be potentially a pretty significant extra cost to replace all of that siding. And so it's just not within our budget and current project scope to tackle that. But maybe someday.
I would love to see it someday.
Yeah.
That's the only question I have.
Chair Muser, can I interject for just 1 second?
Absolutely.
Member Huang has joined us, and I'd like to update the folks in attendance right now. Mike, can you?
Yes, let the record reflect that now all commissioners are present except, I'm sorry, board members are present except board member Gale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for the applicant or staff? I've got just very briefly, and my comments are kind of in context with the whole neighborhood. And I just want to compliment the property owner, the Gershons, on the work they've been doing on their structure. It's obvious that they're putting some love into their building, maybe, you know, kind of piece by piece, and that's kind of how we do things. But it definitely shows there on the corner. Hopefully, your energies and your efforts will spread in the neighborhood. That often does happen. I don't have any issues with what you're doing. The one window that you're taking out is, I'm not sure what that window is, but it's not of the original, you know, building. So I don't see it being any loss being removed. You're making an effort to put single hung windows of the same size back in where you're taking the other windows out. And as Vice Chair Fennell said, maybe someday you'll be able to wrap around the backside and take care of that back end. So unless there are, you know, I want to make sure that Board Member Wong, coming in late, if you have an opportunity, if you have anything you want to say about this project as well, we'll kind of end with any final comments that any of the board members might have. And you're on mute.
I said I have no other comments. Thank you.
Okay, and
Chair Muser, I have a comment if we're closing. Are we closing?
no, not quite yet. Go ahead.
Well, first I would like to say to Planner, how do you pronounce your name? Tumanas?
Stumians?
Tumanas. Thank you. It is really nice to see a project from the Roseland district. Even though it's not yet an historic district, I think it's exciting that we're beginning to see movement in that area. And I would like to commend the Gershons for what appears to be a really nice job for a really sweet little home. And commend you also for salvaging the original materials, which I'm assuming are redwood, TNG. And since the back of the house doesn't show and we don't have to look at the T111, I'm not particularly bothered by that at this point, but sorry, I hate T111. So anytime you eventually get rid of it, it will be great. But congratulations on what appears to be a really nice project. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Garrett. At this time, I would like to open up for public comment. If there's anybody who is logged in watching who would like to make a public comment, this would be a time that you could make comment on this project.
Thank you, Chair Muser. It doesn't appear anyone's raising their hands at this time.
Okay, we'll close the public comment. And there is no action, but just a quick summary for the applicant. What I heard was more pertaining to the backside of the building. If there's opportunity to eliminate the T111 siding and the windows in the back at some future time. And there was comment regarding the accessory structure at the end of the driveway, but it sounds like that's just a mobile type vehicle and probably not an issue for us here. And other than that, I think there was pretty much support from the board. So any final comments before we close this item? Okay. Thank you again, Gershons, for coming to us. I know it's a process. We do appreciate your time and your effort. And with that, we'll close item 7.2. Oh, and thank you to staff too. I know how hard you guys work and how much time goes into these things. So thank you for your time. Okay. Okay, we're now going to go to statement of abstentions for item 7.1. So at this time, do we have any board members who need to abstain from item 7.1? If so, if you could also state your reason why you need to abstain.
Chair Muser, I have to abstain from 7.1 due to conflict with close proximity to the subject property.
Thank you, Chair Fennell.
Chair Muser, I also need to abstain because of close proximity to my property.
Thank you, Board Member Wong. And as chair, I also need to abstain due to close proximity to my property. So with that, I'm going to ask Staff Liaison Murray to take us from here and give us direction where we need to go.
So this is, we have a long-term illness on our board, a member that will be out for an indefinite time, period of time. And because of that, we have 2 members that can act on this, or I'm sorry, 3 members that can act on this item, and 3 members that have to abstain. And because there's an indefinite period of time, we wouldn't be able to act on this project. So the state allows us to do something, a straw poll procedure, which given the virtual environment these days, I will ask Patty and Mike in the council chamber to actually draw names from, I think, a hat, but it will be a way where they have to draw names on camera, and they won't be able to see those names. There's Mike now. Hi, Mike. Patty. And once we'll pull one name out of the hat, and that name will include Chair Muse. Those names include Chair Muser, Vice Chair Fennell, and Board Member Huang. One of those people, and they have all studied up on the project. Thank you very much for doing that, in the off chance that their name may be selected for this, and we can achieve a quorum and get 659 Pine Street on its way to its property improvements, hopefully today. So anyways, Mike and Patty. Whoops.
Just to clarify, we're just pulling one name then.
Yeah, we will be pulling one name.
We just need one.
Today. Yeah, one name today. Once we pull the names, that person will be asked to stay, and the other 2 board members will be asked to sign off for the day. It's not necessary to come back for the adjournment. Henry, it looks like you had a question. Did you have a question? Your mute is on.
I did not have a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so are we ready? Patty, Mike?
Yes, I'll be taking it over. We have our official CHB straw vote bin. We've used it in the past. Spared no expense. I'm coming at you live from council chambers with your names on pieces of paper. So that's 1 going in. Drum roll, please.
Okay, so Board Member Huang, you'll be remaining, and I'm going to ask Chair and Vice Chair Fennell to leave. And this leaves us, again, in a situation that we were not anticipating. So I am going to ask a board member, after Vice Chair Fennell and Chair Muser leave the meeting, I'm going to ask that one board member volunteer to run the meeting. So bye, Chair Muser, bye, Vice Chair Fennell. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Liaison Murray.
So I'm actually, Board Member Garrett, you have been through more meetings than anybody else on this meeting. And between the 2 of us, I think that we can go through here. I have a script in front of me that I can email to you now so that you can look at it as you go through, or I can coach you through, whatever works for you.
You can email me or coach me through. First, I want to congratulate Board Member Huang for being the lucky winner.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Maybe we could take just about a 5-minute recess here so that I can work with Board Member Garrett and just make sure this goes smooth as grease lightning through here, okay?
Sure.
All righty, thank you.
So if all board members can please turn off their cameras, and we will let you know when you can come back. Thank you.
That's funny. Okay. Oh, it is? Because I didn't turn it on.
We can hear you.
Mike and Patty, I think we are ready to go.
Sounds good. If all the board members can please turn their cameras back on. And Board Member Garrett, we'll start at your discretion.
Board Member Garrett, you're on mute.
I guess I have to repeat myself. I'm sorry. Item 7.1, public hearing. This is a porch and foundation repair at 659 Pine Street. And the project planner is Adam. Oh, wait a minute, I need to move. I'm sorry, I'm a little behind here. So it's a foundation repair to the Rodriguez porch foundation and exterior modifications to restore the residential unit similar to its original materials and appearance, including siding and window replacement. Project planner is Adam Ross. Hi, Adam.
I think. Go ahead.
And I have a question before we start this. What does exempt project mean? It says found at the top, it's, in this intro, it says public hearing porch and foundation repair exempt project.
I can answer that. The exempt is in relation to the California Environmental Quality Act. So it's exempt, which I will get into and go over in the presentation for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and start the PowerPoint presentation. There's just one from staff. The applicant is here, and we'll use my PowerPoint presentation for reference should we need it for whatever Paul Larson needs to specify for you. Okay, do you see the presentation okay? Okay, yeah. Great. So this is the Rodriguez, thank you, Board Member Garrett, acting as the chair now, and members of the Cultural Heritage Board. I'm Adam Ross, interim senior planner in the Planning and Economic Development Department. The item before you is the Rodriguez renovation and porch and foundation repair. It's a landmark alteration permit, a major landmark alteration permit required to come before you, before the board for review and decision on it. It's located at 659 Pine Street in the city. In the city. So the project includes exterior modifications. It's removing metal fascia siding to expose the original 3-lap round face drop wood siding and restoring what they can or replacing in kind. That's for the whole house. Replacing the front porch with like materials and at the same time adding a craftsman type front gable to the porch and replacing the stone veneer with similar stone veneer as well. Replacing street facing vinyl windows with single hung fiberglass windows, and removal of the shed in the back to construct an accessory dwelling unit with reduced setbacks. For that portion, the board's purview is just the reduced setbacks within the Burbank Gardens Preservation District. The ADU itself is ministerial and not subject to the board's review. So here's a overall image. It shows that it is a contributor to the Burbank Gardens subdivision in the Burbank Gardens Planned Development District, which is PD 0225 in the H combining district. That just means that it's the zoning code for the historic district, and as specified for the Burbank Gardens preservation district is adhered to for this property. The general plan land use designation is low density residential. It's currently a single family home, and it matches that density as well. So just just a bit of a clear image. As you can see, it's near the intersection of Brown Street and Pine Street. Here's the proposed site plan. So here's the driveway coming up, new concrete paving as required for the project. Here's the porch that is to be repaired and replaced and I'll go over that a little bit. Existing residents, there's no expansion of the size of the structure, and the siding obviously goes around. The two front windows face the street, and this is the proposed accessory dwelling unit to replace the shed. It currently is not really big enough to fit a car, and there's no foundation there or anything like that. And I'll let the applicant go over that a little bit more if necessary. So here's some site photos of the porch to be replaced. As you can see, there's some foundation problems. It's sinking into the ground. So part of this project came from having to just replace that just so that it is safe and usable. These are the windows. These are the windows that are to be replaced with single hung windows. These wood columns are to be preserved if possible, and if not, then replaced in kind. The front gable will go here, and here, and the stone veneer will be similar. You can't quite get the same in kind here, although that, according to the district compatibility report, that stone veneer is of unknown vintage. So as far as its historic value goes for the project or for the property. So here's just some more images of just the needed repair, which then turned into a little bit more of kind of enhancing the porch. So here's the project plans. As you can see, the stone veneer won't be quite the same, but it's there where it is. These are the pillars that are replaced in kind, if not able to restore and keep. These are those single hung fiberglass windows that would replace those vinyl ones that are non-historic. Here's that front gable. Sorry if my mouse is a little squiggly. My cursor. Here's that front gable to be added to the property, and this is what a representation of the 3-lap bottom rounded wood siding would be. And then as you can see, it goes around the whole property, that siding. So here's some images of the existing shed to be removed and replaced with a new ADU. So you see this is it from, I believe, the alley behind this side yard, I should say, from the neighbor's property here. And then there's no foundation. I think it's just dirt floor. And this is the current setback that would be retained with the new ADU. So here's just for reference, the ADU. They keep it relatively the same of kind of the style that it is now, and it matches the existing housing, the siding, the same style of the existing home. And then this door faces the internal to the property site. So this door here faces the driveway out to the street, and this is another door that faces internal to the backyard. So the historic analysis of the city documents included the processing review procedures for owners of historic properties, the general plan, the zoning code, and design guidelines for historic properties. Some of the observations that was made and highlighted in the staff report is the porch replacement is in kind when able. The metal siding is non-historic, and the original 3-lap rounded face drop wood siding is more appropriate. While the fiberglass window is not wood, it is still more similar than the existing vinyl windows to the historic nature of the property. The proposed ADU structure is generally the same location as the previous structures, and the reduced setback is similar to others in this preservation district. So that kind of layout is pretty common within the Burbank Gardens Preservation District. And all findings, including the Secretary of Interior Standards, are supported by the District Compatibility Study by John H. Murphy, and it was dated February 8th, 2021. It was attachment 4 as part of this, the agenda packet. The environmental review for this project as required by the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, which is, it was found to be exempt, or staff finds it to be exempt. The board would be the one making the decision on this exemption as part of the resolution, whether it's adopted or continued or denied. So that in that resolution and in the staff report, it goes over these, but section 15.301 are for exempt projects, which are repairs for existing structures. It's kind of written so that single family homes are not really subject to a big environmental analysis because it's pretty straightforward. You're talking about minor repairs to the structure. And that also goes into 15.303, which is construction of a small structure and conversion of an existing structure. These are similar and not completely limited to, but it is the construction of a new small ADU structure, and the porch would be the new structure as well. And section 15.331, which is restoration of a historic resource in a manner consistent with the Secretary of Interior Standards. That is supported by the District Compatibility Study, authored by written by an authorized architectural historian, and those findings have been met. No public comments have been received about this project, whether that was in the notice of application or the notice of the project coming before the Cultural Heritage Board. With that, the recommendation by the Planning and Economic Development Department is that the Cultural Heritage Board approve a landmark alteration permit for the property located at 659 Pine Street. And again, I'm Adam Ross with the Planning and Economic Development Department. I'm here for any questions. I know the applicant is here. He may want to go over some additional information for you, and be prepared to answer any questions the board may have, as well as myself being able to answer any questions that I can for you as well. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Board Member Garrett, you're on mute.
Thank you, Adam, very much for the presentation. And before we move to the applicant's comments, I'd like to ask for ex parte disclosures. So if anyone has met the owners or the project, or has gone to see the project, now would be the time to say something. And I actually want to disclose that I went past the project and spent time looking at it. And Board Member Boren, you're on mute. Board Member Boren, you're mute.
I got it. And I also went by and spent some time observing what needed to be done and what the plan was. So,
thank you. Okay, if no one else has it, oh, I'm sorry, Board Member Huang.
I also, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I also drove by the property and spent some time looking at the project.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no further disclosures, then now would be the time for the applicant. Do you have any comments? Does the applicant have any comments?
The applicant's raising his hand, and I'm sure the support staff will give him some permission to unmute himself shortly.
Great.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Paul Larson, the applicant and resident on the property at 659 Pine Street. And I think Adam covered it pretty well. My wife and I have been in the house for about 10 years, and the outside has gone through, after visiting with the historian who visited the property, John Murphy. Apparently the house was built in 1922, but it's gone through a lot of changes in the 60s and 70s, including the dropped aluminum siding, the stone veneer that was put on the porch. There's a concrete slab that was poured over the original porch framing. So we've got a lot of settlement in the porch. So the project is really just to kind of stabilize and clean up the house and try to get it back to what it was before, without any major modifications to it. So that's kind of what we're attempting to do. So we'd like your input on it, and appreciate your time on the project. And I can answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Are there any board members who have clarifying questions of staff? Not seeing any. Are there any for the applicant? I have questions for you, Mr. Larson. Generally, we prefer wood windows. Is it a matter of budget that you're not putting them in, or is there some other reason?
Am I unmuted still?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no, it is primarily budget, but also the fact that the entire house has been somewhere, I don't know, prior to our occupancy, somebody came in and replaced all the windows with dual bladed vinyl windows. So, you know, realistically, what we're trying to do is just improve it. Looking at fiberglass windows, they have a profile that's within about a ½ inch of the wood. So from the street, it's pretty close. And they are, you know, about half the cost of the wood windows. So, you know, other facet is if we do wood windows, we're probably going to end up painting them on the inside because all the rest of the windows are white on the inside. So, you know, it's something we really didn't want to, you know, put the funds towards that. We're just going to try to cover it up.
And these would be inset, so they'd have a sill, like a real wood window. Yeah,
the fiberglass windows are actually, their profile's different. The vinyl's got like 1.75 inch profile on the sash, because we went and looked at you know, the Marvin windows. Marvin, that makes the wood windows, they actually make a clad window that's wood with a clad. Is very similar to their fiberglass window. It's about a ½ inch difference. Like I say, from the street, it pretty much appears like a wood window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're a big improvement. Thank you. I just had to ask that question.
Thank you.
And for the stone veneer in the front, do you have an idea of what you'd be using there?
Yeah, actually, there was a submittal on it. I don't know if it made it into your package or not, but what we're figuring to do is use what's there is a cast concrete stone veneer that they bought out in probably the late 60s, early 70s.
I'll just work.
if you could match it, I don't know that you'd want to, but no, we're looking at more of a ledge stone in a real stone. We're figuring to put the rail back as opposed to wood, which is, you know, there and rotted out right now. We're going to use CMU and put stone veneer on both sides. So we'll get a thin cut stone, ledge stone veneer. And staff does have a copy of the cut sheet on the stone.
Oh, okay. I for some reason, I didn't see it. Maybe we got it in our packet and I didn't see it. So thank you. I think the rest is definitely an improvement for the project. And I'm sorry it's taken so long to get this before us, but hopefully we can get this taken care of today.
Thank you.
So, so does anybody have any further questions? Not seeing any. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open that public hearing.
Thank you, Board Member Garrett. Right now, we have one member of the public attending, and they are not raising their hand.
All right, so then we will close the public hearing if no one else is wanting to speak. Are there any more, does anybody have any questions of staff or of the applicant before we vote? Okay, would someone be willing to make a motion for the resolution? I don't think I can do that, can I? Board Member Boren, you're mute, but if you're willing to make the, thank you.
So I move that the cultural, if this is the way to word it, since it's my first time, I move that the Cultural Heritage Board approve the project at 659 Pine Street.
Mm-hmm. And then you have to give the landmark alteration number.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
Board Member Boren, if you have a copy of the resolution, you can read the very top bold section of that resolution, and that will summarize your motion.
Okay.
And I appreciate your willingness and enthusiasm to do this.
Well, I have all the attachments. Oh, resolution, I see it. Resolution of the Cultural Heritage Board of the City of Santa Rosa approving a landmark alteration permit for Rodriguez Renovation and Porch and Foundation Repair located at 659 Pine Street in the Burbank Garden Preservation District. Assessor's parcel number 009-263-024, file number LMA 20012.
And you can waive the reading of the text. You can waive the reading of the rest of the text if you wish.
Okay, and I will waive the reading of the rest of the text.
Is there
I second.
Thank
I
you.
second.
Thank you, Board Member Wong. Thank you both for jumping into the fire with both feet on your first book. So we have a motion and a second. So I will ask each board member to comment or make a friendly amendment if they would like to.
I think at this point, Board Member Garrett, I think it's time to have discussion if you'd like to discuss it among the board members now that you've have project clarification. And then at that point, if anybody wants to add some conditions of approval, which are done through the friendly amendment process, I think it's semantics almost there. The person who, if there's a friendly amendment made, Board Member Boren would have to accept it, as would Board Member Huang. And then after all comments have been made and any friendly amendments have been accepted, then Mike will call for the vote. Or you'll ask Mike to call the vote.
Okay, thank you. So do any board members have a comment, or would they like to add any requests to the resolution? I don't see any. And I don't have any either, but it's nice to have a really easy project come before us that is nicely done and easy to to vote on and make happen. So thank you very much. And Adam, would Planner Ross be willing to take over from here?
I'm going to take over. I'm going to interject again, and I'm going to. Board Member Garrett, if you can call on each one of the board members and ask them if they can make the findings, and just go around the circle. And after that, you can ask staff to call for the vote.
Okay, so we do have to go to each person.
Yeah, just to make sure the findings can be made.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Boren, do you have any comments?
I didn't quite understand what meet the findings.
So are you comfortable with everything that we are going to vote on, or do you have additional questions or things you'd like to add?
No, I am comfortable with to vote on this.
Board Member Wong?
I can make all the findings, and yes.
Thank you. Board Member Pretzalis?
Yes, I can make all the findings. And I just wanted to add that I just wanted to thank the applicants for their patience, as I know there were some delays in getting this to us. So thank you for hanging in there and for being patient.
And I'm with that too. Thank you very much. As you know, some of us are very new to the board, and some of us have not been able to meet on a regular basis. So thank goodness we're here today. Thank you. All right, now, Miss Marie, am I allowed to turn it over to?
Now I think you can ask staff to call the vote. Call for the vote.
Okay.
I think they might be waiting for you to ask.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is very formal. So Planner Ross or staff, can you please call for the vote?
Thank you, Board Member Garrett. This is the recording secretary. We're going to start. We usually go in alphabetical order, followed by the chair. In this case, Board Member Garrett, you are chair for this meeting. So for this item, so we're going to start with Board Member Boren, and it's a yay or nay.
Yay.
Thank you. Next, Board Member Wong.
Yay.
Board Member Pretzelis.
Yay.
And Board Member Garrett.
Yay.
Yay.
So that item passes with 4 yays.
Thank you.
So Board Member Garrett, I think from here, you have one more thing. You can just call the adjournment of the meeting. And thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you. And I call for the adjournment of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Mm-hmm.